Hello, my name's Sheena Lott, and today we're at the Winchester Gallery in Oak Bay Avenue and talking a little bit about my background in the paintings at the show. The show runs till July 24th, and I started out a long time ago on my journey towards this show today. I've always been interested in painting and started in about grade 3. Loved drawing and drew and sold my first painting in grade 5 to my science teacher for $5, so hopefully I've moved on from then. But I didn't want to be a starving artist, so I decided to get a profession as a physiotherapist, but it just taught me about anatomy, and I kept wanting to paint more and more, and eventually turned painting into a full-time profession now. So first painting here is from travels. I went to Europe a couple of years ago and love hiking, and decided to go to this beautiful village, Vernazza, in the Cinque Terre area of Italy. And the reason it attracted me was all the different roof angles, and the light in Italy was quite spectacular. This is a watercolor, and what I try and achieve in watercolor is a gradation of change of color as you go across the page. Somebody once said, don't move more than the eyelash of a mosquito across the page without changing color, so I thought that was a lesson to learn early. And so I work in kind of semi-abstract to realistic style. Don't want to do a photograph because you can't beat a good photograph, so a painting has a lot more depth to it, I believe, and I put some of myself into it. So attracted to the light here and the contrasting oranges and blues, complementary colors. Some of the perspective may look a little bit off, but the roofs really were very strange angles on this one. I love drawing, and you have to try and get the perspective right. It's important, the base of drawing. So, and upcoming, I've got a show at the Muse Winery, August 28th and 29th. It's a 4-person show, but I'll just have a few oils and watercolors there. That's my next, and after that I probably will do another children's book. I've done 9 children's books, all illustrated in watercolor. Keeps me fairly busy, and I'm also right now developing my gallery career. This painting here is again in Vernazza, that Italian village, and always drawn to painting and drawing the human figure. I love the gesture, and I always feel the posture of the figure is as important as anything. And I kind of can see the Italian hand gestures in this, and 3 young lads having a nice time out on the water. It's important to me to get complementary colors into a painting. So you've got the blue here, and the orange creates a visual contrast, and the eye always goes to sometimes the lightest color, so hopefully the light of the figure brings you to this boat here and across in through the painting and then out. When I'm planning a painting, I always think, where's the eye going to go? I don't always put everything in, and try and, in my paintings, have the background a little bit blurred, and the foreground is where the most detail is, and it's another tool, if you like, for creating depth inside a painting to bring the viewer in. Just love painting this scene. It took me there. Love the water, so I kind of just wanted to be in that boat and in the ocean myself when I was doing that. When I'm painting, I use a really simple palette. I paint in watercolor in three colors, basically red, blue, and yellow. So the red I use Rose Madder Genuine. The blue is Winsor Blue or Ultramarine Blue, and the yellow is Aurelian. These are all transparent colors. I'm self-taught in art. I took many workshops and bought many different paint colors, and finally took a workshop where there was a limited palette. So I find it's much easier to get to know those colors and the language of those colors and how they work together. With those colors, it lets the paper shine through. I'm using Arches paper. I use 140 pound, which you have to stretch, but this is 300 pound, which you don't. The 300 pound lets you work a lot more in wet, so the paper takes longer to dry, so you get softer edges. Blurred at the edge here, you can work longer into some softer edges. Again, thinking about color, colors like orange really draw you into the painting. So the orange on his backpack takes you to hopefully where the focal point of this painting is, the figure with the bicycle. So this was a scene in France. We did a house trade in France and stayed in a region near Aix-en-Provence for a month and really got to know the locals and felt it was part of the wonderful French culture, and always wanted to do a show based on that region. I have many more images I want to paint, so hopefully there'll be lots of shows in the future based on that. Next painting it's an oil painting. I'm switching a bit to oils, but I still watercolor is my main medium to work in. Oil is completely different because you're working usually dark to light, and in watercolor it's usually light to dark. So the challenge of this painting was all the underpainting colors for the sacks themselves were challenging, but hopefully it works. And I really love the market spices that you see in so many parts of the world, and this particular scene really drew me. And I really like the shine on the sacks as they're folded back, because they have sort of a plastic interior lining, and just the highlights there. Again, thinking about colors, the color palette for most of these paintings is warmer. I often tend to use blues and greens, but I was really trying to aim to do the warm colors, the yellows, oranges, and browns, to get the feel of Italy and France. It's kind of how I picture those countries as warm, coming from cold Canada. Sometimes the temperature of the painting gives a different feel, so these are warm paintings. And down here is a picture of one of the children's books I illustrated. This is illustrated by a story written by David Suzuki called Salmon Forest, and takes about a year to do a children's book, so I put the books off for a little while now and trying to get back to my gallery painting, but it was really a pleasure to work with David Suzuki on this book about the salmon cycle. And over here is an illustration from that book, Sockeye Salmon Run. Kind of more an impressionistic painting, fading off into the background, and I use salt to get the texture of the feeling of the underwater, some of the kelp underwater, the mosses on the rocks and that kind of thing, and it's a challenge to paint, but okay. This painting here is called Set in Stone, and it really is probably my favorite of the paintings in this show today. Just saw this little girl in a courtyard in a little town in Italy, and I was really attracted by her face. She has such an angelic face, and with the color of her dress slightly yellow against the yellow sort of ancient walls of that you find in that region. I just like the texture of the wall behind her and how she almost blended into the wall. I loved the posture, again talking about posture, how when you're drawing the figure, when you see a figure across the street, you recognize them by their posture and the general shadow rather than the detail in the face. So her stance, I like the way she was standing on one hip and arms behind her and slightly poking chin just attracted me to that particular piece. Again, a warm palette, the yellows and the warm grays, and hopefully gives you the feeling of that region. This is a painting called Umbrian Hills, an oil painting. Again, really trying to create depth into a painting when I was doing this, with the warm colors in the front receding to the cooler colors of the background mountains, with softer edges in the background. In the trees, it creates sort of a vibe, I think, in the color by doing this sort of purplish underpainting against the complementary green colors, and the hay bales in the front with the purple against the orange, the complementary colors create sort of a vibration on the page, and which helps you to read this painting from a long way away. I'd like to do a larger painting. This is a region in Umbria where we'd rented a house and looked out the window to this glorious scene every day. So made me very happy to be an artist. So I hope to paint until they put me under. I just feel like I'm getting started in many ways and learning every day. I think I'll never know it all, and challenge myself and to do more shows and to do more oils and more watercolors and more books. Get really excited about art. I go through withdrawal if I don't paint for a few days, so I guess I'm in this for the long haul and really happy to be doing this. So I hope people enjoy the paintings and will search out more.